Parshas Yisro, Shabbos Kabbalah HaTorah, Tov Pei Beis. As we discussed over the past many years, Baruch Hashem, the Nesivos Shalom refers to this Shabbos, just like last Shabbos was called Shabbos Shira, this week called Shabbos Kabbalah HaTorah. And the obvious reason is that the S.S.S. Kabbalah HaTorah in Parshas Yisro in this week's Parsha. And we've spoken about Kabbalah HaTorah and Maimed Har Sinai from so many different angles over the years. This event of Kabbalah HaTorah that actually defines who we are as a people and who we are as a nation. The Torah is what defines us. That's what sets us apart. The Torah is our guiding principle, and it leads our lives and sets us apart from the rest of the world. The Torah is really what defines who we are as a Jewish nation. The Pasuk says, right before the Aseret HaDibros, the Pasuk says, Vayidaber Elokim es kol hadvorim ha'ele le'mor. That Hashem spoke the following words, le'mor, that we should say it over. And the Nesivos Shalom says that we really need to understand why this pasuk comes here before the Aseret HaDibros, why it says kol hadvorim and le'mor. Because you have to understand that here by Maimed Har Sinai, the entire Klal Yisro, every person, every neshama, every person of every age was actually standing there at Har Sinai, and they saw the seven Rekiim, the seven, referred to it as skies, layers of sky, opened up, and they saw, it was right in front of everybody's eyes, that they saw Ein Oid Milvadoi. It was obvious, it was right there in front of their eyes. And every single person, every Jewish neshama, not only did they see, but everybody obviously heard the Aseret HaDibros. So to whom exactly would this have to be repeated? That Hashem spoke and said these words, the following words, that we should say it over. Why do we have to say it over to anybody or to any person? Every person saw with their own eyes, they saw things by Maimed Har Sinai that nobody in history had seen, and every person, from the lowest person in Klal Yisrael to the highest person, saw and heard. They said Nasav and Ishma, they saw and heard the Aseret HaDibros. What is this thing about repeating it over? Who exactly would this have to be done for? So the Nesivos Shalom explains with the Yisoid, a Yisoid of the Zohar HaKadosh. Very interesting Yisoid. And he says the following. By Shiras Hayom, we know last week, in last week's Parsha, the Torah says at the beginning, Oz Yoshir Moshe B'nai Yisrael Zashira Azois, Vayoimru Leimor, to say over. And what do we learn from the word Leimor? Chazal tell us, Lidore Dorin, that this Koyach Hashira would become eternal. Vayoimru Leimor, Chazal tell us for future generations that the Koyach Hashira that Klal Yisrael had right then, it became eternal. V'olam hazeh, v'olam haba, that a Jew now has in themselves forever to sing out and praise HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It became part of us then, Vayoimru leimor, l'dorei dorin, that we're always going to be able to and have the opportunity to sing out and to praise Hashem. That's l'dorei dorin, and we see it from Vayoimru leimor. And of course, says the Nesivos Shalom, with this Yisoid of the Zohar, we can also explain the leimor that we have now before the Aseret HaDibros. It would apply to the Aseret HaDibros too. This Dibur at Har Sinai, these words, these sounds that Klal Yisro was hearing now, was not a one-time event just for that time only. It's not a speaking just for then. It's a speaking words that would resonate forever, from then until today. Those words, the pasuk in Yeshaya, pasuk in the Navi Yeshaya says, Udvar Elokeinu yakum li'olam. The words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, they stand forever. And this is referring to the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu says something, it's not that he says something and then goodbye with that when the sound fades away. The words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu resonate into history. They resonate behind us, before us. These are words that are constantly there. As we know also, the pasuk in Tehillim says, Ula'olam Hashem devarecha nitzav b'shamayim. The words of Hashem, they stand and they withstand the test of time. They're there forever. The Koshen Tzemagid, Zchus Yagan Aleinu, says this thought on the Maimer Chazal. Chazal tell us, the Gemara, Masechta Chagiga, Daf Yud Beis Amar Aleph, the Gemara talks about the shame Shakai. One of the names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shin, Daled, Yud, the shame Shakai. So the Gemara talks about it there. And the Gemara says that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu was creating the world, and Hashem said, Yehi Rokia, there should be a sky. You know what happened? At that time of creation, when Hashem said there should be a sky, the sky began to expand. And you know what happened? Hashem said go, so it went. And it kept going. And the outer stretches of the sky, of the universe, just kept going and going. So Hashem said the shame of Shakai, which stands for die. It's enough. You could stop. You could stop expanding. You could stop spreading out. And then the sky took the form that it has now. It stopped spreading out and it started expanding. So the question is asked in Nesivos Shalom, why the Shem Shakai, the famous name we know, Shin, Daled, Yud, it's so used so often in different things in Judaism. So that's what the Shem Shakai comes from. Shem Shakai is a Shem Nitzchi. It's a one-time thing that happened back then. That's where the Shem Shakai gets its definition. That's what we get the Shem Shakai from. So it says in the Nesivos Shalom that it's not being defined by one thing from the time of Brias Ha'olam. The answer is, as we've been speaking about the theme of tonight, that the Dvar Hashem is forever. And when Hashem said at the time of creation, Yehi Rakia, there should be a sky, there should be a sky that now stretches over the entire earth, that stretches out and it should expand. When Hashem said that word, Yehi Rakia, continues to resonate forever. And the skies would still be getting their strength from those words today. Hashem said go, so it goes. It would keep going. And from that dibur, it would keep on going and spreading out forever. So comes along the Shem Shakai, not some historical thing that took place at Brias Ha'olam, and that's where it gets its name, Shakai. No, it's something, because Hashem said it, it goes and it continues and it resonates forever. It's Nitzchi. And now that Shem Shakai, it's constantly stopping the sky from expanding, even today. Because once Hashem says a word, there's no taking it back. Hashem said expand, it would continue to expand. So came now the Shem Shakai, and it says die every day. No, don't expand anymore. Don't continue to spread out over the world. It's not just being defined by a one-time happening from Brias Ha'olam. And the S.S.S. Hadibros in our parsha, the S.S.S. Hadibros that we're speaking about now, work the same way. Hashem said the S.S.S. Hadibros a few thousand years ago, but they continue to sound and to resonate all the time. Nesivos HaTorah, as we speak about so many times from the Nesivos Shalom, Nesivos HaTorah is a constant thing. As you know, we come up to the Torah, we make a bracha, Noisein HaTorah. You know what Noisein HaTorah means? Torah is being given. It's being given all the time. Noisein, Hashem is giving and giving and giving. Not Asher Nosan Lanu Es HaTorah a long time ago, a few thousand years ago. That's not the bracha. The bracha is Noisein HaTorah, Hashem who gives the Torah. The Torah started being given then, and it continues. It goes through history that it continues to be given, and all the time. And that's pshat in Vayidaber Elikim es kol advarim ha'ele lemor. Lemor means not that they had to say it over to another person right then, because all those people in that generation, they all stood there. They all saw things, they all heard things. Lemor means for us that it will continue, that every day throughout history, it is as if Hashem, and it is that way, that Hashem is giving the Torah, and the Torah is being lemor. The sound is still there. The Torah is still sounding today. L'doirei doros. Just like the Klech Hashira goes forever, and we said from last week, so too the koyach of the Torah goes over constantly and continuously. Just want to end with something that we've said over a number of times in the past 12 years, but it's Kedai. Nesivos Shalom brings it down in this week's Parsha. The Degel Machne Ephraim in Parshas Vayikra, he brings for the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh a question that we asked a few times already. The Maimer Chazal was speaking about Har Sinai, Har Chayrev. The Maimer Chazal tells us, B'chol Yoim Basko Yoitzeis Mehar Chayrev. Every day, a Basko comes out from Har Chayrev, from Har Sinai, and says, Shuvu Banim Shevavim. Return to me, my beloved children, return to me. So the big question, Baal Shem Tov, big question that it is as asked is, why don't we hear? It says every day a Baskol comes out from Har Sinai and says, please return to me, my children. Why does this Baskol, why does this voice come out of Har Sinai if we're not hearing it? Well, it would sound like a little bit of a waste of time to come out and no one hears it. And also, if we don't hear it, right, why is it coming out? So if we're not supposed to hear it, so something doesn't make sense over here. Says the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, the answer is that you're not hearing an audible sound. But many times a person will get an inspiration. You wake up in the morning, you have a drive to learn something, to be a better person, to improve your midos, to act better, to be a nicer person, to do something. You're inspired to do something. Says the Baal Shem Tov, that is the sound. It's a sound that's not an audible sound, but it talks to your neshama. It talks to your lave. It talks to your heart. When you get that inspiration, that's the constant thing that's coming out of Har Sinai since Matan Torah. Every day that Baskol comes out. And when you're inspired to do something, you're being inspired. Your heart, your neshama, is feeling something that you want to be a little better. But the catch is, says in Nesivos Shalom, that you have to grab onto that. Person has to grab onto it. You can't let it go to waste. When you get that inspiration from Har Sinai, and everybody gets it, but some people just waste it away and say, yeah, I'm going back to my old ways. What do I have to be inspired a little bit by this? Am I a different person if I just change a little bit? Yes. Every inspiration you get, and every little inspiration you get, is that voice, Lamar, from Har Sinai. You got to tune in those radio waves. You catch them, and you do something with it. We need to catch on to and listen to those eternal messages. The forever message of Matan Torah. It's the message that is coming out of Har Sinai and talking to us each and every day.